First contact and devastation. The Helios station hung like a jewel against the backdrop of the azure gas giant it orbited. 15 years of human ingenuity had transformed the initial outpost into a thriving colony of 30,000 souls. Mining operations extracted rare minerals from the planet's rings, while research facilities probed the mysteries of the unusual planetary system. Families made their homes in the station's residential sectors, children attended schools, and couples strolled through hydroponic gardens that provided both food and beauty. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of her office, watching shuttles ferry workers and supplies between the station and the mining platforms. At 42, with streaks of silver in her black hair, she had spent a decade building Helios into humanity's most successful deep space colony. The latest progress reports showed record production figures and 2 new residential modules nearly ready for occupation. Commander, her AI assistant's voice interrupted her thoughts. Sensors have detected anomalous objects at the edge of the system. They appear to be approaching. Reyes turned from the viewport. Ships. Ours? Negative. Configuration unknown. Not matching any Earth or colony vessel profiles. A chill ran down her spine. Humanity had ventured farther into space with each passing decade, but had never encountered intelligent alien life. Theoretical first contact protocols existed, but had never been tested. Alert status yellow, she ordered, moving to her command console. Inform Earth Central immediately. Prepare first contact package for broadcast on all frequencies. The mysterious vessels, 7 of them, moved with deliberate precision toward Helios Station. They were sleek, obsidian structures that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, with no visible engines or windows. Each was roughly 3 times the size of Earth's largest battlecruiser. For 6 tense hours, Helios Station broadcast welcome messages, mathematical sequences, and basic scientific data, the carefully designed first contact package that humanity's brightest minds had developed for this very moment. The alien ships maintained their approach, silent. They're not responding to any transmission, Communications Officer Liu reported, frustration evident in his voice. We've tried everything in the protocol. Reyes studied the tactical display. The ships had entered the inner system and slowed, forming a loose formation around the station at a distance of 10,000 kilometers, close enough to be intimidating, far enough to be outside immediate weapons range if the station had possessed significant armaments, which it didn't. Continue broadcasts, she ordered, and prepare evacuation shuttles, just in case. The first beam struck without warning. A lance of blinding energy connected the lead alien vessel to Helios Station's north docking bay. Metal vaporized instantly. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as atmosphere vented into space, but not before 300 people were sucked into the vacuum. We're under attack, Tactical Officer Mendoza shouted, unnecessary but human. Multiple energy signatures powering up on all vessels. Emergency evacuation, all personnel. Reyes shouted, slamming her palm on the station-wide alarm. Get everyone to the shuttles. Send distress signal to Earth. Chaos erupted throughout the station. Families rushed toward evacuation points as more energy beams sliced through Helios with surgical precision. The aliens weren't randomly destroying. They were methodically cutting the station apart, section by section, ensuring nothing could escape. In the command center, Reyes fought to coordinate the evacuation even as systems failed around her. Status on the distress signal. Sent, but they're jamming our communications now, Liu replied, his console sparking as power fluctuated. No way to know if it got through. Another blast rocked the station, throwing Reyes against a bulkhead. Pain flared in her shoulder. The tactical display showed 3 evacuation shuttles launching, then 2 disappearing as energy beams found them. Mendoza, Liu, get to the emergency shuttle bay, she ordered. I'll download the station logs and follow. Commander, Liu began to protest. That's an order. Someone has to survive to warn Earth. As her officers reluctantly departed, Reyes transferred all data to a portable drive, including sensor readings of the attacking ships. The command center shuddered as another section of the station was severed. Emergency lights flickered and died, leaving only the glow of remaining consoles. She never made it to the shuttle bay. A final, massive blast tore through the station's central spine. The last thing Commander Elena Reyes saw was her office wall tearing open to the vacuum of space, the stars, and the obsidian ships beyond framed in the jagged wound. Of the 30,000 people aboard Helios Station, only one survived. Junior engineer Pavel Volkov had been working in a maintenance pod outside the station when the attack began. Hiding behind a small asteroid in the planet's rings, he watched in horror as the methodical destruction unfolded. When the aliens finally departed 6 hours later, nothing remained of Helios Station but scattered debris and frozen bodies. Using the pod's limited propulsion, Volkov reached an automated relay beacon at the system's edge. Before its power failed, he transmitted a compressed data package containing everything his pod's simple sensors had recorded, along with his own trembling testimony. They didn't communicate. They didn't negotiate. They just exterminated us, like we were insects. 17 days later, the message reached Earth. The images from Helios Station played on screens in homes, offices, and public spaces across Earth and its colonies. People watched in stunned silence as the alien vessels systematically destroyed humanity's most distant outpost. Pavel Volkov's haggard face became instantly recognizable worldwide as he described the methodical slaughter he had witnessed. In Geneva, the United Earth government convened an emergency session that lasted for 3 days without interruption. Representatives from every nation, colony, and orbital habitat argued over the appropriate response. Some advocated immediate diplomatic efforts. Perhaps the attack was a misunderstanding, or Helios had unknowingly violated some alien territorial claim. Others demanded immediate military mobilization. Admiral Helena Cheng, Chief of Earth Defense Forces, silenced the chamber with her assessment. The attack was deliberate, methodical, and designed for maximum casualties, she stated, her voice carrying across the hushed room. The aliens targeted evacuation shuttles specifically. They weren't protecting territory or responding to a perceived threat. They were exterminating humans. And based on their vector after leaving Helios, they're headed toward our colony on Proxima Centauri. The debate ended that day. By unanimous vote, the United Defense Initiative was formed with a single purpose: to ensure humanity's survival against an existential alien threat. "We are now at war," announced UEG President Adaman Kosi, his deep voice somber but resolute. "Not by our choice, but for our survival. Every resource, every factory, every mine must be dedicated to our defense. The aliens who struck Helios may believe they have found an easy target, a species they can exterminate without consequence. They will learn how gravely they have miscalculated." Across Earth and its colonies, unprecedented mobilization began. Shipyards that once produced commercial vessels converted to military production. Research facilities abandoned peaceful projects to focus on weapons development. Mining operations in the asteroid belt doubled, then tripled output to feed the insatiable demand for materials. Most significant was the formation of the Advanced Propulsion and Weapons Division under Dr. Sofia Ivanova, a brilliant physicist whose theories on quantum weaponry had previously been considered too dangerous to pursue. "The aliens clearly possess technology beyond our current capabilities," she explained to military leadership. "We cannot match them by incremental improvements to existing systems. We must leap forward generations in our technological development, and we must do it in months, not decades." 6 weeks after the Helios massacre, the first images of the alien attackers were reconstructed from Pavel Volkov's sensor data. The beings were vaguely insectoid, standing nearly 3 meters tall, with iridescent exoskeletons and multiple compound eyes. Xenobiologists named them the Xalar, from the Greek xenos, stranger, and the Latin lar, destroyer. Intelligence analysts reconstructed the Xalar communication that Pavel's sensors had recorded, but the Helios team had been unable to decipher. The translation was chilling. Begin cleansing. The infestation is minor. Standard extermination protocols. With this evidence, the last voices calling for diplomatic solutions fell silent. Humanity understood it faced not conquest but extinction. The response would be proportional to the threat. Admiral Cheng unveiled the plan designated Operation Reckoning to UEG leadership. Her presentation was brief but staggering. "We will build a fleet of 700,000 warships," she stated simply. "Not for defense, not for deterrence, for absolute victory." The number seemed impossible. Earth's combined naval forces numbered less than 2,000 vessels. President Nkosi said as much. "With current production capabilities, this would take centuries," he noted. "We don't have centuries," Cheng replied. "We have 2 years." Dr. Ivanova's team has developed automated construction systems and new manufacturing techniques. Every asteroid mining facility will become a shipyard. Every orbital habitat will produce components. Every colony will contribute resources. As the assembly sat in stunned silence, Dr. Ivanova added that Xalar believed they faced an insignificant species at Helios, a minor infestation. They will return expecting to find the same. Instead, they will face the full might of humanity, unified and unleashed. They struck one colony. We will strike their entire civilization. For the first time since the Helios massacre, hope flickered to life. The greatest industrial effort in human history began the next day. Across the solar system, miners, engineers, scientists, and ordinary citizens worked around the clock. Children wrote letters to Helios victims' families and collected resources for recycling. Retirees returned to work. Old rivalries between nations dissolved in the face of extinction. 1 year after the attack, the first prototype warship incorporating Dr. Ivanova's quantum technology launched from Earth orbit. Designated Vengeance, it demonstrated weapons capabilities that would have been considered impossible months earlier. Its quantum fold drive allowed it to cross to the outer solar system in minutes rather than weeks. As construction ramped up, Admiral Cheng personally recruited and trained the commanders who would lead humanity's fleet. Among them was Pavel Volkov, the sole Helios survivor. Now Captain Volkov of the flagship Helios remembered. 6 months later, assembly lines across the solar system produced one warship every 12 seconds. The vast fleet gathered in formation beyond Mars, each vessel equipped with quantum fold drives, adaptive shield systems, and weapons designed specifically to counter the observed capabilities of Xalar ships. Dr. Ivanova, addressing the fleet commanders, explained the technological leap they had achieved. "We have compressed 50 years of normal development into 18 months. The quantum fold drive doesn't just provide speed. It allows our weapons to partially exist in multiple states simultaneously, bypassing conventional defenses. The Xalar believe themselves technologically superior. That advantage no longer exists." At the 2-year mark, as projected, the fleet stood ready minus 700,000 warships crewed by the most dedicated personnel Earth could provide, supported by advanced AI systems where human crews were insufficient. The Xalar had gone silent after destroying 2 smaller outposts following Helios, perhaps preparing for a larger invasion. Intelligence suggested they remained unaware of humanity's massive mobilization. Admiral Cheng addressed the fleet before departure, her image transmitted to every ship. "They believed us weak. They thought they could exterminate us without consequence. Today we show them the consequence of attacking humanity. Today we bring justice for Helios." The mighty armada activated their quantum fold drives simultaneously, vanishing from Earth's space in a flash of blue light, bound for Xalar territory. Operation Reckoning. The vastness of space has a way of rendering even the mightiest forces insignificant, but as 700,000 human warships emerged from quantum fold jumps at the edge of Xalar-controlled space, the sight was anything but insignificant. The fleet stretched across thousands of kilometers, formation lights blinking like a new constellation born of human vengeance. Admiral Helena Cheng stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, watching tactical displays as the massive force reassembled after transit. 2 years of preparation, of unprecedented industrial and scientific achievement, had brought them here, to the doorstep of the species that had casually exterminated 30,000 human lives at Helios Station. "All battle groups report successful transition, Admiral," announced her executive officer, Commander Jackson. "Stealth systems active. No indication the Xeelar have detected our arrival." Cheng nodded, her weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of holographic displays. At 62, she had spent 4 decades in Earth's defense forces. Never had she imagined commanding an operation of this magnitude. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. "Deploy reconnaissance drones. I want complete mapping of their defensive network before we reveal ourselves." Throughout the fleet, automated systems launched thousands of stealth drones, each no larger than a human hand. They scattered across Xeelar space, gathering intelligence on military installations, fleet movements, and planetary defenses. The data they transmitted back confirmed what human intelligence had suspected. The Xeelar controlled 17 star systems, with 3 heavily populated homeworlds and numerous colonies. More importantly, the drones revealed that the Xeelar fleet, while technologically advanced, numbered only about 20,000 vessels. They had never encountered a species capable of truly challenging them and had grown complacent in their superiority. "They have no idea what's coming," murmured Captain Pavel Volkov aboard the Helios Remembered. The former engineer had insisted on being part of the first strike force. The nightmares of watching his home and family destroyed had never left him, but they had hardened into purpose. They think themselves hunters, but they've never been hunted. The first Xeelar outpost to face humanity's wrath was a monitoring station at the edge of their territory. 7 Xeelar vessels patrolled nearby, the same number that had attacked Helios. Admiral Cheng considered this symmetry appropriate. A single battle group of 500 human ships dropped stealth and appeared within weapons range of the outpost. The Xeelar response was immediate but confused. Their sensors detected human vessels but struggled to process the sheer number of targets suddenly surrounding them. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 3 minutes. The quantum state weapons developed by Dr. Ivanova's team bypassed Xeelar shields entirely. The 7 patrol ships were destroyed before they could return fire. The outpost itself surrendered after a single demonstration shot removed its upper levels with surgical precision. Admiral Cheng personally addressed the Xeelar commander via direct communication link. "I am Admiral Helena Cheng of the United Earth Fleet. 2 years ago, your forces destroyed our Helios station without provocation, killing 30,000 civilians. We are here for justice." The Xeelar commander, a towering insectoid with iridescent blue carapace, responded with obvious shock. "A minor cleansing operation. That insignificant outpost." Its translator rendered the clicking speech into flat English. "You developed this fleet because of that." "Every human life has value," Cheng replied coldly. "Every one of our people you killed has brought 10,000 ships to your doorstep. Remember that before you call any species insignificant again." The message from the outpost's capture spread rapidly through Xeelar space. Their high command, based on the primary homeworld of Xeelar Prime, scrambled to respond to a threat unlike anything in their recorded history. They had encountered dozens of space-faring species before, but none had survived the initial cleansing operations to mount any meaningful resistance. The Xeelar fleet mobilized, but it was too late. Human battle groups struck simultaneously across their territory, targeting military installations and shipyards, while meticulously avoiding civilian populations. Dr. Ivanova's quantum fold drives allowed human vessels to appear within enemy defense perimeters without warning, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before effective countermeasures could be employed. 3 weeks into Operation Reckoning, humanity had destroyed over half the Xeelar military capacity without losing more than a few hundred ships. The technological advantage that had made the aliens so casual about attacking Helios had evaporated. Now they faced an enemy who had leapfrogged their development and brought overwhelming numbers to bear. "They're retreating to their core systems," reported Strategic Command during a fleet-wide briefing. Intelligence from captured databases indicates they're trying to consolidate around their 3 homeworlds. Admiral Cheng studied the strategic display. "And what have we learned about their motives for attacking Helios?" Captain Renata Okafor, head of Intelligence Division, stepped forward. "The data is disturbing, Admiral. The Exilar Empire has existed for approximately 3,000 Earth years. In that time, they've encountered 32 other intelligent species. They've exterminated 29 of them completely." A murmur ran through the assembled officers. "They call it garden tending," Okafor continued. "Their philosophy holds that the galaxy belongs rightfully to them, and other intelligent life forms are equivalent to weeds in their garden. Species they deem potentially useful are enslaved. That accounts for the 3 they didn't eliminate. All others are systematically eradicated before they can become threats." "So Helios wasn't special," Volkov said quietly. "Just another weed to be pulled." "Precisely," Okafor confirmed. "The attack on Helios was considered routine, a standard cleansing operation of a new species discovered at the edges of their territory. They expected to follow up with attacks on Earth within a decade, once they had mapped our capabilities. The revelation hardened already firm resolve throughout the fleet. This wasn't just justice for Helios now. It was prevention of a genocide that had already claimed dozens of civilizations." As the human fleet pressed toward the Exilar homeworlds, the aliens attempted desperate diplomatic overtures. They offered territorial concessions, technology transfers, even reparations for Helios. Admiral Cheng relayed all offers to Earth government but recommended rejection. "Their history shows they only negotiate when at disadvantage," she noted. "Once they recover, they resume extermination efforts." President Nkosi's response was unequivocal. "The Exilar have proven themselves an existential threat to not just humanity, but all intelligent life. We cannot accept any outcome that leaves their capacity for garden tending intact." The final battle for Exilar Prime began 60 days after Operation Reckoning commenced. The remaining Exilar fleet, approximately 9,000 vessels, formed a defensive shell around their primary homeworld. Behind them, planetary defense systems of immense power stood ready. Admiral Cheng deployed 300,000 ships for the assault, far more than necessary by tactical calculation, but she wanted to end this decisively. "All vessels, this is Admiral Cheng. The beings we face today have exterminated entire civilizations, viewing other sentient species as weeds to be removed. They would have done the same to Earth had we not struck first. Today we not only avenge Helios but ensure that no other peaceful species faces extinction at Exilar hands." The battle raged for 14 hours. Exilar defenders fought with the desperation of those who understood, perhaps for the first time, what it meant to face extinction themselves. Their technology, while outmatched by human quantum weapons, was still formidable. Over 20,000 human ships were destroyed or disabled. But the outcome was never in doubt. By the battle's end, the Exilar fleet was annihilated, their orbital defenses reduced to debris. The way to the planet lay open. Rather than bombarding the surface, Admiral Cheng took a page from Earth's own history. She deployed landing forces to capture the Exilar High Command intact. Led by Captain Volkov, the strike team fought its way into the central governing complex and secured the 7-member Exilar ruling council. Brought before Admiral Cheng aboard the Indomitable, the Exilar Supreme Commander maintained its species' arrogance even in defeat. "You have won a battle, not a war," it chittered. "Our people will rebuild. In time, we will reclaim our rightful place and continue tending the galactic garden." "No," Cheng replied simply. "Your garden tending ends today." The terms presented to the Exilar were non-negotiable. Their military capacity would be dismantled completely. Their worlds would be placed under human oversight for a minimum of 50 years. Their historical records of exterminated species would be preserved as evidence of their crimes. Most significantly, they would provide technology to restore habitable conditions on the homeworlds of 3 species they had nearly wiped out, where survivors remained in hidden enclaves. "You speak of justice, yet you permit us to live?" asked the Supreme Commander, genuinely confused. "We would not have shown such mercy." "That," replied Admiral Cheng, "is precisely why we are not you." The formal surrender was transmitted live to Earth and all human colonies. President Nkosi addressed humanity as celebrations erupted across the solar system. Today marks not just the end of a brief but terrible war, but the beginning of a new era. We have defended ourselves against extinction and discovered both our tremendous capacity for unified action and the sobering reality that we are not alone in this galaxy, and not all intelligent life shares our values. The massive human fleet remained in sailor space for 6 months, overseeing the initial disarmament and establishing monitoring stations. As ships began returning to Earth, they carried with them recovered technologies and scientific knowledge from the sailor archives, including star maps showing the locations of dozens of habitable worlds. Admiral Cheng, addressing the UEG Council upon her return, summarized the profound change in humanity's position. 2 years ago, we were nearly exterminated before we even knew we were threatened. Today, we are known across this sector of the galaxy as the species that defeated the Xalar Empire. The 3 species they enslaved have been liberated. The remnants of 3 they nearly exterminated now look to us for protection as they rebuild. She paused, looking at the faces of Earth's leaders. We went to war for justice, and we achieved it, but we've gained something more: a responsibility. There are other predatory species out there, and many more peaceful ones needing protection. The fleet we built for vengeance must now become a shield for those who cannot defend themselves. In the years that followed, humanity expanded carefully into nearby star systems, establishing peaceful contact with 11 intelligent species and forming the Galactic Mutual Defense Alliance. The shipyards that had produced the incredible fleet of vengeance now created vessels of exploration and scientific discovery. On the 5th anniversary of the victory, a memorial was unveiled in orbit above Earth, a massive structure containing the name of every person lost at Helios Station, arranged so that starlight would shine through each name in turn over the course of a year. At the dedication ceremony, Captain Pavel Volkov, now Admiral of the Exploration Fleet, spoke briefly but powerfully. They thought us insignificant. They believed they could exterminate us without consequence. They were wrong. Not because we built 700,000 warships, impressive as that was, but because every human life has value that cannot be measured. That is the lesson that Xalar failed to learn, and it was their downfall. That is the principle we now carry to the stars. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, the next would-be gardeners took note and reconsidered their plans.